Welcome back to the channel, Real Repairs for Real Customers. The couch that we're repairing today falls into the category of the consumer goods dilemma. Now, we started this series because the consumer is purchasing high-dollar items and then discovering that it is the lowest quality of materials that they've purchased. It's a dilemma, too, as we've mentioned before, for the repair technician, because often the materials are actually not repairable. Yet the market forces are such that we get asked to do something. Can we extend the life of the item at least by doing something? It's a repair that the repair community is not happy with, I'm not happy with, you, the viewer, may not be happy with. Yet the market forces ask us to do something, and that's why we shove this into the category of the consumer goods dilemma. We have a couch today that has very good quality leather in the seating areas, but the rear panel of the couch is falling apart. Let's get to work. So here we are doing the perfunctory discussion with the homeowner, but we can look and see the status of this back of the couch. We notice right away that it is urethane, and with little to no provocation, it is peeling and flaking. And so after some basic cleaning and prep, we've got right busy with just a standard vinyl repair using the heat gun and a grain pad. But here's the area we want to pay attention to here. Originally, where you see white here, there was nothing wrong. However, heating the area reactivated the adhesive. And since the urethane is so thin here, when we picked up our grain pad, it lifted the urethane off this base material. If you'll recall, in the previous video in this series, we saw the Mazda 6 urethane coming loose of the seat, and we could reheat the adhesive and stick the urethane back down. Of course, we have to let the adhesive cool before lifting up our grain pad. So in this instance, I lifted my grain pad too quickly, the adhesive was still hot, and the thin layer of urethane stuck better to my grain pad than to the adhesive. So then, here, trying to work faster only made me more work. So we fixed it and moved on to the next. I have added the tiniest drop of pigment to my repair compound here to give me a little bit of a base color. Normally the color will weaken the compound, but I'll do it here when structure is not the main factor. And so here I'm cleaning my Bondo spreader to get a cleaner swipe. To avoid making a mess on your grain pad on a large area like this, it's a good idea to dry everything first and then pay attention to heat curing specific areas at a time. Here's the other interesting fact that we can learn from this repair. Because urethane is not a thermoplastic, at least not in this case, there is a thermoplastic polyurethane. But this urethane here is not that. So it's not a thermoplastic, meaning we can't heat the urethane and regrain it. But look what's happening here. Because the urethane is thin, We are heating and reactivating the adhesive. Then when we push the grain impression into it, we are actually making a grain impression into the adhesive, and the urethane is sticking to it. Combine that with the fact that we know we have to leave the grain pad on there for longer for the adhesive to cool, we are successful in actually blending and graining the urethane when in fact it's not technically grainable, not being a thermoplastic. That's pretty cool. So one shot with the repair material is actually quite good here. Here's another spray color, darker, but I can mix and match light and dark until I get the result that seems to hide the best. Typically, you won't see the print when we're finished because the ambient lighting in the room won't provide enough light to see the differences. Now the darker color again. The pre-val puts out larger droplets, so we get the speckled print imitation on there. If you take a look at those sheets that we've laid down for masking, you can see the overspray that the pre-val put on there. Those larger droplets can catapult. They can also fall to the floor. And as you can see here, we've worked all along the back of this, and the bigger droplets fall to the floor. And that's why we can't skimp on drop cloth. Another look across the top, and you can see here that those larger drops may have sprung further than you ever would have imagined along the top of that couch. So we've learned a couple of lessons on this job. One, allow enough time for the adhesive under the urethane to cool before disturbing it. And two, we can texture the non-texturable urethane by actually texturing the adhesive. And that looks so much better. Plus, we've put a table here to hide all the other repairs on the back. That's cheating, I know, but we'll take it. Thank you for following our channel. We'll look forward to seeing you next time right here.